My father refused to walk me down the aisle because of my sister's lies. But what happened at the reception left him speechless with regret. My wedding day nearly collapsed, torn apart by betrayal, not from outsiders, but from my own family. My father and sister. He chose her self-serving celebration over standing by me. The moment he realized what he had done still chills me. I'm Cornelia, and I was 28 when this all unfolded. Growing up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, we looked like the perfect family. A cozy home, my mom's tulips blooming in the yard, and my dad teaching me how to ride a bike. My father, Adam, was my hero. Tall with salt and pepper hair, a strong presence, and a warm smile. Every morning at breakfast, he'd tell me, "Cornelia, you have the brightest mind I've ever seen. One day, you'll change the world." Those words kept me going. When I brought home straight A's, he'd take me out for ice cream. My mother, Amber, was the heart of the house. With her kind eyes and gentle nature, she balanced Dad's strictness. She worked part-time as a nurse, but always put us first, helping with homework or teaching me how to make her famous chocolate chip cookies. But when I was 13, everything shattered. Mom began feeling exhausted, and 3 months later came the devastating diagnosis: Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The next 7 months were filled with hospitals, quiet conversations, and watching her fade away. Her death left a wound we never truly healed. My older sister Katerina was difficult even before Mom's passing. She never liked how close Dad and I were. She was tall and athletic, while I was smaller and bookish. Mom tried to highlight our unique talents, but Katerina saw every compliment I received as a threat. After Mom was gone, tension between us only worsened. Dad buried himself in work, often staying late at the office. The emptiness at home was unbearable. Katerina quickly stepped in, declaring herself in charge. "Dad has enough on his plate," she'd scold, if I asked when he was coming home. "He has important clients. We need to be strong for him." She began cooking, organizing, and acting like the head of the house. Dad seemed grateful, and their bond grew stronger, while mine with him slowly faded. As Dad's career flourished, Katerina used manipulation to secure her place as his favorite. She played games with his emotions, twisting stories about me. "Cornelia spent $75 on art supplies," she'd say, never mentioning it was for a school project. Or, "She doesn't need you at her concert. She knows you're too busy." The truth was, I had been counting down the days, desperate for him to be there. By high school, she had painted a false picture of me: defiant, ungrateful, and careless. In reality, I had buried myself in art, trying to cope with losing both my mother and, in many ways, my father. The worst betrayal came during my junior year, when I was nominated for a prestigious art scholarship. I had reminded Dad for weeks, but the night before, I overheard Katerina on the phone with him. "Cornelia said not to make a big deal of it. She'd rather you not come, maybe just send a card." The next day, I sat alone, watching other students smile with their proud parents as I received my medal. Dad only sent a text: "Congrats, important client dinner." Later, I learned Katerina had called his office, lied about me rescheduling the event, and pushed him to make other plans. When I confronted her, she just smirked. "You always want the spotlight, it's pathetic." At 18, I couldn't wait to leave. I applied to colleges far from home, and was awarded a scholarship to the University of Pittsburgh. I embraced independence and only returned for major holidays, tolerating Katerina's barbed comments and Dad's polite distance. In my sophomore year, I met Marco, tall, kind, quick to smile, and logical in a way that balanced my creative chaos. What started as a coffee study session turned into a 3-hour conversation, and soon we were inseparable. His warm, lively family welcomed me with open arms. His mother, Isabella, was nurturing. His father, William, witty, and his younger brother, Lucas, full of energy. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Marco became my anchor. He understood my pain without judgment, comforted me through holidays that reminded me of Mom, and celebrated my victories when Dad didn't. We built a life together in Philadelphia, away from family drama. Dad and I spoke only briefly each month, while Katerina, still living nearby, flaunted her role as the devoted daughter. By 26, I was thriving as a marketing executive, while Marco excelled in his own career. Our lives were rich and fulfilling, even as old wounds lingered. On our 5th anniversary, Marco recreated our first date and ended the night with a velvet box holding a vintage sapphire ring, surrounded by tiny diamonds, unique and perfect. "Cornelia," he said, "you've made these past 5 years the best of my life. Will you marry me?" I said yes without hesitation. For one night, I let myself be purely happy, without worrying about my family's reaction. The next morning, I called Dad. "Dad, Marco proposed last night." I said yes. His pause was too long. "Well, congratulations," he finally said in a flat tone, as if it were just another item on his to-do list. "He seems like a good guy. Have you set a date?" No excitement, no celebration, just formality. I forced a smile through the phone. "Not yet. Maybe next summer," he responded. "Let me know. I'll check my calendar." I hung up, swallowing my disappointment. Marco found me crying, but comforted me. "He'll come around," he whispered, though I knew he doubted it. Katerina's response was worse. When I sent her a picture of the ring, she replied with overdone enthusiasm. "OMG, congrats, little sis, so happy for you. That ring is so pretty." Her jealousy was thinly veiled. At 32, she'd been through short relationships, but never found commitment. Despite their reactions, we pressed forward. We set the date for June 15th, 9 months away. Dad confirmed he'd be free, and I carefully asked if he would walk me down the aisle. His pause held emotion. "I'd be honored, Cornelia." For the first time in years, I felt hopeful. Planning consumed the following months. Venues, caterers, fittings. Marco's mom, Isabella, joined me often, guiding with gentle support. At my first dress fitting, she had tears in her eyes. "You'll be the most beautiful bride," she whispered, holding my hand. She acknowledged my mother's absence with compassion. "Your mom would be so proud of the woman you've become." Around this time, Katerina began posting about a mysterious big event. When I asked, she brushed it off. But as the months passed, it became clear she was planning something major. Then, 3 months before my wedding, she called. Her voice dripped with fake sweetness. "Cornelia, just wanted you to hear it from me before you see it online. I'm hosting a career celebration on June 15th. I finally hit my sales target, and the firm is throwing me a party." My blood ran cold. "Katerina, that sips my wedding day. You got the save the date months ago." She feigned surprise. "Did I?" Must sip slipped my mind. "Anyway, my party sips at 11 a.m. at the country club. Your ceremony isn't sips until 4. It works perfectly." "Perfectly?" I snapped. "You know Dad can set me at both?" "Of course he can," she replied smoothly. "He sets'll go to mine first, then yours. It's sets not that far." In truth, the country club was 2 hours away, making it impossible for Dad or anyone to attend both. I called him immediately, praying he would see through her ploy. "Yes," she told me, he said casually. "It's Sep's unfortunate timing, but these things are hard to reschedule. It's Sep's a big deal for her career." "But Dad, you stare supposed to walk me down the aisle." "I said I'll make it work, Cornelia. I said I'll go to hers first, then drive to yours. Don't set make this into a bigger problem." Weeks passed, and I felt his resolve slipping. He began talking about traffic, asking if we could move the ceremony back an hour, and even questioned if I really needed him for photos. My heart sank. 2 weeks before the wedding, the final blow came. Dad called one evening, voice uneasy. "Cornelia, I've been thinking about June 15th. I don't think I can make it to your ceremony on time. Katerina's event is too important. I need to be there for her. Maybe Marco's father could walk you down the aisle instead." I nearly dropped the phone. "Someone else? You think this is something I can just hand over to anyone?" My voice trembled. "I still come to the reception," he added, as if that was enough. "Should be there by 7. I hung up and broke down, sobbing. Marco held me tightly, anger radiating from him. "He doesn't deserve you," he whispered. He suggested postponing, but I refused. "No. That's exactly what Katerina wants. I won let her win." The next day, Isabella called to confirm details, and immediately sensed something was wrong. I poured out everything. Her voice was firm yet tender. "Cornelia, this is your day, yours and Marco's. Don't let anyone take that from you. Your father will regret his choice for the rest of his life, but that regret belongs to him, not you." Her words encouraged me, but one question lingered: who would walk me down the aisle? The thought of going alone felt like a public reminder of my father's rejection. Later that week, Uncle Anton called. "Marco told me what happened," he said gently. "I hope you don't mind him sharing." "Of course not," I answered, touched by his concern. "I know this is hard," Anton continued. "Family disappointments hurt the most." His tone suggested he spoke from experience. "My father wanted me to follow the family business, not literature. He never forgave me for choosing my own path. Some wounds never heal, but we can still build meaningful lives despite them." His words brought fresh tears. "Thank you for understanding." "Anytime, Cornelia. And remember, family isn't just blood. It's about who stands with you when it matters." A week before the wedding, I hit my lowest point. Even with excited messages from friends and vendors, I found myself on the bathroom floor at midnight, overwhelmed. The wedding was coming together beautifully, yet my father's absence left a painful gap. The next morning, Marco suggested lunch with Isabella. She greeted me at a quiet cafe, holding my hand. "Marco worried about you. We all are." "I keep telling myself I'll be fine without Dad," I admitted. "But the thought of walking alone makes me feel abandoned." "It's natural to feel that way," she said softly. "What your father is doing is wrong, and it's okay to hurt." After a pause, Isabella added, "There's something about Anton you should know." Curious. I looked up. Anton is actually my late husband William's brother. When I first married William, Anton was already estranged from their parents. Their father never accepted Anton's choice to pursue academia over construction, and when I decided to marry William, my own father refused to attend. He said a second wedding was shameful. "That's awful," I whispered. Anton offered to walk me down the aisle instead. He told me, "You deserve someone who celebrates you, not someone who judges you." Her story struck me deeply. "Anton never had children," she continued, "but he has been a devoted uncle to Marco and Lucas, always present, always supportive." The thought formed slowly in my mind. Would it be wrong to ask Anton to walk me down the aisle? Isabella Sip's eyes filled with tears. "Sweetheart, I think it would mean the world to him, but it's your choice." I reflected the entire next day. Anton had always shown genuine interest in my life. There was something meaningful about being escorted by someone who understood rejection. That evening, I called him and we met at a bookstore cafe. He already had my favorite drink waiting. "I remembered your usual," he smiled. "Vanilla latte with an extra shot." That small detail reminded me of his thoughtfulness. After small talk, I found the courage. "Anton, my father has decided not to walk me down the aisle. Saying it aloud still hurt. Anton nodded gently. Marco mentioned some tension. Sorry. I took a breath. Isabella told me how you walked her down the aisle. It meant a lot to her. I would be honored if you consider doing the same for me. For a moment, Anton was silent, eyes glistening. Cornelia, I can describe what this means. Are you sure? This moment should be shared with someone close. I am sure, I replied firmly. You've shown me more care and support in a few years than my father has in decades. I would be proud to have you walk me down the aisle. Anton reached across the table and clasped my hand. Then I accept with all my heart. It will be one of the greatest honors of my life. A weight lifted. He was right. Family is defined by who shows up, not just DNA. In the final days before the wedding, peace returned. 3 days before, I called Dad one last time. I just wanted to confirm if you still planning to come to the reception. Yes, I should be able to make it after Katerina Sepp's event, he said, distracted. Probably around 7:30 or 8. I also wanted you to know. Asked Marco Sepp's uncle Anton to walk me down the aisle. Who? He asked flatly. Anton Harris. Been very supportive. I see. Well, someone has to do it if I can't. His dismissive tone confirmed I had chosen correctly. At the rehearsal dinner, Anton gave a toast that moved many to tears. True love is not just about finding the right person, it's about building a family of choice that supports you. I am honored to play a small role in Cornelia and Marco Sepp's day. Later that night, I checked social media. Katerina's big celebration was nothing more than a small gathering in her apartment. Barely a dozen people. There was no corporate event. No recognition. She had staged it only to clash with my wedding. Strangely, I felt clarity instead of pain. Her jealousy had fueled years of sabotage. The next morning, I woke to sunshine. My bridesmaids arrived. Their excitement contagious. Then came a text from Dad. Good luck today. Katerina's event starts at 11. If it ends early, I'll try to make the reception by 7 or 8. Save me some cake. No apology, no congratulations, just a reminder of where his loyalty lay. I handed the phone to Cassandra, one of my bridesmaids. Sepp's unbelievable, she muttered, hugging me. Don Sepp's let it ruin your day. At noon, Anton arrived in a tuxedo, carrying a small gift. You look radiant, he said warmly. Marco is very lucky. Inside the box was a lace-trimmed vintage handkerchief with blue flowers. It belonged to my mother, Anton explained. She carried it at her wedding in 1930. I thought you might like to have it today. Tears filled my eyes. It's beautiful. Thank you. He then handed me a velvet pouch. Isabella asked me to give you this. Inside was a silver bracelet with a charm shaped like a paintbrush and pen. She remembered you loved both painting and writing. Their kindness overwhelmed me. Please thank her for me. This means so much. The afternoon flowed smoothly, with my hair styled, Mom's pearls, Isabella's bracelet, and Anton's handkerchief tucked into my bouquet. I felt ready. At 3:30, photos wrapped up, Isabella entered, misty-eyed. Oh, Cornelia, you are stunning. She hugged me tightly. Anton is waiting in the lobby. At 3:50, I walked to the garden terrace. Through the glass doors, I saw 90 guests, the flower arch, Marco waiting, and the quartet playing softly. Anton stood poised, pride written across his face. Ready? He asked. I nodded too moved to speak. He offered his arm, and the doors opened to the first notes of Canon in D. Walking with Anton, I felt both sorrow for my father's absence and gratitude for the man who stepped forward with love. Marco's expression as I approached, pure joy, made everything worth it. In that moment I realized we were creating our own family, built on respect and care. The ceremony was exactly as I dreamed. We exchanged vows promising honesty, support, and daily commitment. When the officiant pronounced us husband and wife, the applause felt like an embrace. The reception was filled with laughter, toasts, and dancing. Marco's father spoke movingly, and Anton's words brought happy tears. By 8:30, it was clear my father wasn't coming. I pushed away the sting, as Marco and I shared our first dance. Later, my cousin Timothy arrived, looking unsettled. After greetings, he pulled me aside. "And I fed him so sorry I set him late. I stopped at Katerina Sepp's event first. Cornelia, it wasn't Setem what she told everyone. It wasn't Setem work-related at all." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "It was just a casual party at her apartment. Maybe 15 people. No recognition, no promotion. I even asked her coworker about the supposed milestone, and she was clueless." I was stunned. "So she lied, just to conflict with my wedding?" Timothy nodded. "That's not all. I overheard her with your dad. She's been telling him you didn't really want him there, that you only asked out of obligation. And here look." He showed me texts where Katerina admitted she deliberately scheduled her party to force Dad to choose. It was shocking, yet validating. Years of suspicion about her manipulations were finally confirmed. She had been sabotaging me all along. "Does Dad know?" I asked. "I tried to tell him today." Timothy sighed, but she pulled him away. "I said sorry." I hugged him. "Thank you. At least now I know the truth." Part of me wanted to confront Dad, but another part realized this was my wedding day. I deserved joy. I returned to the dance floor with Marco, choosing love over bitterness. Around 10:30, with only a few guests left, I noticed movement at the door. My father entered, looking awkward in a rushed suit. Marco squeezed my hand. "Do you want me to step in?" "No," I said firmly. I said firmly. Dad approached stiffly with a small gift bag. "Congratulations," he muttered, giving me a brief hug. "Sorry I sit late. Katerina Sepp's thing ran longer than expected." His casual tone about missing everything made my blood boil, but I stayed calm. "Is Stepan glad you could make the last hour?" He glanced around. "Looks like it was a nice wedding." "It was beautiful," I replied. "Perfect, actually." Silence lingered. Then he handed me the bag. "This is from Katerina and me." A set of crystal wine glasses. "Thank you," I said, setting it aside. "Would you like a drink?" He nodded, and we moved to the bar. As the bartender poured his scotch, my father finally asked the question I had been expecting. "So, who walked you down the aisle?" "Anton Harris," I replied, "Marco Sepp's uncle." My father frowned. "The older man in the navy tuxedo, the one who gave that toast." I nodded, noticing Anton speaking with Isabella and William nearby. "Yes, that Sips him." "You let a stranger walk you down the aisle?" His tone was sharp, as if I had made a foolish choice. "He is not a stranger to me," I answered firmly. "He Sit's been part of Marco Sit's family for years, and has shown me more genuine care than you have in a long time." His face flushed. "That Sip's not fair, Cornelia. I Sip always supported you." "Have you?" I asked. "Years of hurt surfacing. You missed my art scholarship ceremony because Katerina told you I didn't want you there. You forgot my graduation dinner until Marco Sepp's parents reminded you. And today, you skipped my wedding ceremony for Katerina Sepp's fake party?" "Fake party? What are you talking about?" Just then, Timothy joined us. "Dad," I said, "am glad you made it, even if it sets just for the end." My father turned to him. "Timothy, what is this about Katerina Sepp's party being fake?" Timothy hesitated, realizing he had walked into conflict. "I was telling Cornelia earlier, the party wasn't a work event. It was just a small get-together at her apartment." "That can be right." My father objected. "She said it was for her broker promotion, sponsored by her firm. I asked one of her colleagues. Timothy explained gently. There was no promotion, no company event. It was just something she planned on the same day as Cornelia Sepp's wedding. My father's expression shifted from disbelief to confusion. Before he could respond, Anton appeared. Cornelia, Marco is looking for you. It's almost time for the sparkler send-off. He turned to my father, offering his hand politely. Anton Harris, you must be Adam. It's good to finally meet you. My father ignored the handshake. I don't see why my daughter needed some stranger to take my place. Dad, stop, I whispered, embarrassed. Anton stayed calm. I understand this must feel difficult, but it was my honor to support Cornelia, knowing how important the moment was to her. My father scoffed. If it was so important, she should have chosen a date that didn't set conflict with her sister Sepp's event. My wedding was set 9 months ago. I explained. Katerina deliberately scheduled her party for today, and Timothy has proof. Timothy reluctantly showed my father the texts. His face went pale as he read them. This can be true, he murmured. Katerina wouldn't do this. She has been doing it for years, I said. My voice breaking. She lied about you missing my art ceremony, about my graduation, and now about not wanting you to walk me down the aisle. She told me, you said it would be embarrassing if I walked you, since we weren't close anymore, that you only asked out of obligation. That was never true, I said firmly. I wanted you there. I always have. Something shifted in him, disbelief giving way to anger at Katerina. He pulled out his phone. I need to speak with her. Not now, I urged. This is my reception. But he was already dialing. Anton touched my shoulder gently. I'm sorry, Cornelia. Do you want me to get Marco? I nodded. Moments later, Marco appeared, wrapping an arm around me protectively. Before I could explain, my father returned, face flushed. Katerina hung up on me. I stepped in, going to her apartment. Dad, please, I said. Can this wait? I need to know if this is true, he insisted. It is, Timothy said quietly. I said sorry, Uncle Adam. My father looked at me, then at Anton. His anger flared again. So you replaced me with him? Some random man you barely know? Anton stepped forward, voice steady. Mr. Evans, I understand you are upset, but this isn't the time. Today is about Cornelia and Marco. Don't tell me what today is about. My father snapped. She's my daughter. Anton met his eyes calmly. Then you should have acted like her father. Being a parent means showing up when it matters, not just when it's convenient. The truth of his words seemed to hit my father. His anger faded into something closer to shame. I need to go, he muttered, leaving abruptly. Marco held me close. Are you all right? I nodded, though my eyes stung. I just wish he had seen the truth sooner. Anton stayed nearby, steady as always. Family truths are hard, Cornelia, but sometimes they are necessary for healing. Isabella and William joined us, urging me not to let the moment overshadow the joy of the day. Soon after, we rejoined the guests for the sparkler send-off. As Marco and I walked through the tunnel of light, I felt unexpectedly calm. The truth was out. Whatever happened next, I had a family who truly valued me. Marco and I spent 2 weeks honeymooning in Greece, far from family drama. I muted messages from Dad and Katerina, determined to enjoy the time. But when we returned, reality waited in my inbox. My father had left 5 messages, each more regretful than the last. In one he admitted, "You were right about Katerina. She finally confessed she's been manipulating us for years. I understand if you never forgive me, but I hope for a chance." Katerina, in contrast, sent only a cold email. She was taking a break from family and traveling indefinitely. Sitting on our couch, I listened, unsure what to feel. Part of me is glad he sees the truth. I admitted to Marco, but I sip sad for all the years lost. Weeks passed, filled with thank you notes, returning to work and settling into married life. Anton called every Sunday, checking in with genuine care. He never pushed me toward reconciliation, but often shared thoughtful advice. Forgiveness isn't about excusing, he once told me. It's about freeing yourself from resentment. Whatever you decide, choose what brings peace. A month later, I agreed to meet my father in a small cafe. He looked older, worn down. "Cornelia, thank you for coming," he said softly. As we sat, "I don't even know where to start. I failed you." "Yes," I replied honestly. "But I want to understand, how did you not see Katerina Sip's lies?" He sighed. "After your mother died, I was broken. Katerina stepped in, and I leaned on her. It was easier to believe her version than face my grief and failings as a parent. By the time you left for college, I truly thought you didn't want me around." "I never wanted distance," I told him. "I just couldn't take Katerina Sep's manipulation." "I see that now," he said quietly. "When I confronted her, she admitted she resented you since childhood. She thought I favored you. After your mom died, she wanted me to herself." We spoke for hours, tears, regrets, and finally some understanding. Before leaving he said, "I know I done deserve another chance, but I like to rebuild if you still let me." "I need time," I answered. "This won't be fixed in one talk." He accepted that. In the months that followed, we slowly reconnected. Weekly calls turned into visits. I introduced him properly to Marco's family, including Anton, who welcomed him graciously, despite their rocky start. 3 months later, my father hosted dinner for both families, a cautious but hopeful step. Afterward, I overheard him telling Anton, "Thank you for being there for Cornelia when I wasn't set. Walking her down the aisle should have been my role, but you did it with honor." Anton replied warmly, "She's remarkable. You should be proud." "I am," my father admitted. "I just wish I had been present to see it." Their exchange gave me hope. Katerina kept her distance, sending only occasional cards or messages. I eventually accepted that some relationships may never heal, and that was okay. 6 months later, we hosted our first Thanksgiving. Around the table sat Marco's family, my father, Timothy, and close friends. Katerina declined the invitation. When my father's turn came, his voice shook. "I'm thankful for second chances, and for a daughter whose forgiveness humbles me." Anton smiled across the table. "I'm thankful for family built on love and choice, not just blood. And I'm grateful to have Cornelia as a niece whose courage inspires me." On our first anniversary, Marco and I held a small dinner. Anton surprised us with a toast. 1 year ago, I had the honor of walking Cornelia down the aisle. What began as a privilege became one of the greatest gifts of my life, the chance to be part of this family Sep's journey. Reflecting now, I see that even deep wounds can lead to unexpected healing. My father's absence that day made room for Anton's presence, which eventually helped restore my father's place in my life. My family is now both inherited and chosen, each imperfect but valuable. I've learned forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or excusing harm. It means letting go of anger, setting boundaries, and making space for growth. The person who walks you down the aisle should be someone who truly stands by you, not just in one moment, but through all the ordinary days that follow. I am grateful to have found my people, those who choose me just as I choose them. Sometimes the most meaningful families are the ones we create through love, not the ones we're simply born into.